want to share with you a little bit, a few ideas about how do you become the only viable solution for your prospects when it comes to your area of expertise. The only viable solution means that when people look around and say, okay, I need to solve this problem, there's many different experts that can help me, but this is the person that is my favorite, or sometimes that's the preference, is that you will be the only one that is preferred. We created that for ourselves, for example, among the small business owners, especially ZZ payers here in Holland. Most ZZ payers that heard about us, if they will get to the point where they are ready to learn something about business, we will be the only viable solution for them. And that's a lot because of what we talked before, but it's even more because of what I'm going to share with you right now. It's a problem to share it in the last session when everybody's first tired, second hungry. So you'll have to hold yourself for that because it's more philosophical than 10 ways to do. I'm going to give you 5 things, but it will be more philosophical. And the reason why I'm giving it to you now and why I prefer that you will agree to stay here is because this will work for you during the night. If you will go just over the material that I'm sharing with you right now, just before falling asleep, let it be. Okay, you don't have to come up immediately with the insights how to do that. But from the experience, I taught it only one time ever. It was 2 years ago in the Master of Influence. And what people told me days after is that it changed their mindset totally about how they are with presenting themselves to their prospects, clients, to the marketplace. So it's not rocket science, but most of us just don't think this way or not thinking all this way. And I want to share that with you. Is that okay? Yes. 5 things. I don't want to get so much into the theory behind it. I'm just going to give you 5 ways how you can build up this position of the only viable solution in your market. Okay, and the first one, you want to put yourself in a position of a leader. You want to become a leader. It's something that we discussed in the Master Entrepreneur. And when we talked about the positioning, I gave you 4 questions. And the 4th question is, where are you going? And I told you, when you can answer that, you're starting showing people a direction. And when you show people a direction and start following you, well, that's being a leader. I want to give you a little bit more about that. Because being a leader in your marketplace put you in a position. I mean, people will go for the leader. As simple as that. Okay, if there's a leader and everybody else in the market are followers, then you will get clients because you're the leader. Not everybody. Okay, for some people it's intimidating, but you want clients that are looking for a leader. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, so first of all, something that you need to know. You want to become a leader, first of all, because your prospects want to be led. It's not a bad thing. All of us want, in certain areas in our life, to be a leader, and in other areas we want to be led. At least that's true for me. Okay, and I could see that in many areas in my life, not necessarily even in business, although in business I'm doing that all the time. What I'm doing in business is I'm following those people that are the leaders in that field, and I will follow them until I get how to do that or until I develop my own way, and then I will find my own path, and I will start leading there, and I'm leading you. Okay? The only reason why I can lead you in business is because I did whatever I'm teaching you now a few years before you. That's all. I don't have any more power, any more intelligence, any more anything. The only thing I have is experience that was a few years before. I took the path, I found maybe my own path at one point, and I'm saying, hey guys, walk that way. That's all. And at one point, all of you will get to a position when you will actually say, hey, this is my path, and I'm going to continue from here. And maybe some of you will start leading other people in that area or in your areas. I'm going to give you the example from trainership, just as another example to show you. I wanted to be a trainer at one point. It doesn't matter right now why, but I wanted to be a trainer. It was my dream to be able to stand on stage. So I started to apprentice to a few. Actually, I was working for over a couple of years. I was working as apprentice in 3 different organizations or to 3 different trainers to trying to become good at that. So I gave all my time for a couple of years just to learn how to do this, how to lead groups. And I remember in one training, which I was a participant, that was the one experience, okay, when I was a participant. Okay, there's a process where you have a chance to talk to the trainer. And the trainers there in those type of processes, it was from the 60s. I didn't do that in the 60s, but it was from the 60s. It was all about authority, and the trainer was like God or whatever it is. And he was sitting on his chair. At that time, we were doing all the trainings. The trainer was always sitting, never standing. And at one point in the middle of the process, I came to him. His name was Frank Ntele. Okay, and he was very, very famous at that time. And I came to him and says, Frank, listen, I must tell you, I'm already giving trainings, I'm already doing this stuff, but I can hear your voice coming through my throat. I don't find anything original in what I'm saying. I'm just hearing your words coming from my mouth. And I feel that I will never be my own person. And he was looking at me and he was smiling, a very gentle smile, which he wasn't usually do. And he says, you know, it reminds me of a conversation I had 30 years ago with my teacher. His name was Fritz Perls. I don't know if any one of you, the name rings a bell, but Fritz Perls were one of the first people that started the whole human development movement. Very, very famous person. He was his teacher. And he says, I remember a similar conversation where he was sitting in this chair and I came to him and says, Fritz, I'm hearing your voice coming from my mouth. And he says, I'm pretty sure that Fritz Perls at one point came to Freud, because that one, you know, and said the same. And he says, it's okay. It will take a few years, and at one point you will find your own voice, and it will be your time to lead. And it happened. Okay, and it happened, and I can see it when we're training trainers, they're getting the same. You know, they're kind of finding that they're doing things like me or like Verd, and they sound like that. And that's okay. That's what it means. You allow yourself to be led until a point where you find your own voice, your own contribution, and then you start leading. It's time for you to become a leader. Does that make sense? But people look for to be led, so you want to do that. It means that as a leader, you need to do something which is very, very risky. Okay, it's not easy to be a leader, but one of the things that you need to do as a leader is you need to take a position. You must take a position. You must have a point of view. You must have a perspective, and you need to share it. Because all of us have a point of view, all of us have an opinion, but when we're coming to a position where we need to share that, many of us become shy. We're not sure. We're afraid of feedback. We're afraid of being confronted for that. And this is something that you will have to grow up from if you want to take that position as a leader. Okay, you will have to have a position. Okay, and one of the positions you can say, when it's true for you, you can say to people, what you've been told for years is not the truth. This is something that we do that every time that I find that. You will hear me saying that what you were taught is not the truth. Here is my truth. Check it out. I will say that about social media. I will say that about blogging. I will say that about becoming an expert. And I will share my own opinion. And I'm pretty sure that if I will confront the other gurus, let's say, then they will not agree with me. And I'm saying that many times. And I have no problem to say, I think they're wrong. Usually I will use much stronger language. Came to me somebody in the break and told me, listen, I'm working now with a top marketeer. And he told me, don't give anything for free. And on the spot, I stopped and I said, he's not a top marketeer. He doesn't have a clue. And the only way that you can check if he's a top marketeer is not by what he says, but what he does and what he has. If he has these rooms and he says that, consider that. But I'm guaranteeing that he doesn't have it. It's pretty strong. I don't even know who she meant. Didn't ask. It's not important. As a leader, I have an opinion about those people, and I will say it. I might be wrong, by the way. Okay? But as a leader, you need to have an opinion, and you need to be willing to stand for it. This is important. A position, not an opinion. I meant a position. Okay? Another thing that you do when you take a position is that you find somebody to fight. This is really important. You need to find somebody or something to fight against. Okay? People don't really like it. We're trying to pacify everybody. We're trying to comply with everybody. We're trying to make everybody happy. Don't. Please, don't. No leader ever try to pacify. That's why most leaders are assassinated. That's why most people are not willing to be leaders. Martin Luther King, killed. JFK, killed. Many of them were killed. Okay? They didn't die. They were killed because they took a position that some people didn't like. That's okay. Okay, that's okay. You know, you don't have to go to that extreme or to go with this type of people around you, but you need to take a position and you need to fight. So you will hear me fighting certain things. I mean, I shared with you a little bit before what people did when the bombing of Paris. I was fighting something that you were hearing me fighting for a long time. Mediocrity. Mediocrity and people thinking like a herd, like sheep in a herd. I can't stand it, and I will fight that. How many times you heard from me, when everybody goes right, it's your time to go left. Because, and I'm telling you don't want to do what everybody does, because what we know about everybody that they are broke. right? Everybody is basically broke. The average person is broke. Most people are broke. So you need to turn away from mediocrity and stand for yourself. I want you to think, when you're putting, like everybody else, this flag of France, when there was a bombing, you're just doing what everybody else is doing and not stopping for a moment to think if it's making a difference. Or maybe you can make a difference in a different way. So I'm challenging you to think by fighting something that, at least here in Holland, this is the standard. We are training people in school in Holland that good is goed genoeg. You heard me fighting that. You heard me telling you the story with my daughter. And that was what triggered us to become financially free, so we can afford the university, or not the university, the school, that will not tell her goed is goed genoeg, because I can't stand it. So this is an enemy. This is an enemy that my students should fight it, and most of you understand that. Most of you can relate to that. But I'm leading that this way. I don't know how many of you have been in the last financial freedom. Anybody was in the last financial freedom, which happened the end of last year? Okay? I was fighting people with names. You remember that? I was saying throughout the whole training, because Tony Robbins just came out with his book about money. I can't remember right now, is that? And I said what I think about Tony Robbins and about all the other experts that wrote there. And I told you that those people, as right now, as much as I appreciate them for what they did so far, they're abusing you. And they're abusing the fact that people don't know. And they give you bullshit that you will swallow, because they know that this you can swallow, but the truth you can't. And I was fighting that, and I will tell you the truth. I will tell you that by you saving 10% for the rest of your life, you're going to get nowhere. I will tell you what every expert, every financial expert will tell you, that compound interest is a good thing for you. That's bullshit. It's a compound interest is good for you if you start for millions or if you're saving for 400 years. Most of you don't have either A or B. But they will still put it down in a book that was sold in millions of copies as the truth. And I was fighting that with names. And I'm pretty sure that if, though any one of those people that I mentioned their names would hear me, they wouldn't be happy. Maybe they would sue me. Okay? That's okay. I'm fighting that because this is a leadership position. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay? Guys, remember that. You don't have to do anything I'm telling you. I'm just giving you my opinion. Is that okay? That's my point of view. Next one for leadership, being a leader, you need to have a higher purpose. I think I mentioned that this way or another. You need to have a higher purpose. You cannot just say, I'm mentioning it usually on Martin Luther King, you cannot just say, I have a dream that one day I will open a big supermarket in Alabama. Okay, that's not high purpose enough. You don't get followers there. Martin Luther King could get millions of people marching, well, hundreds of thousands marching, but millions of people behind the movement because he had a higher purpose. I believe, I have a dream that my children and wild children one day will play together as equal. That was the dream. It's a higher purpose. Does that make sense? I don't want to save a girl in Nepal. I want to break that cycle. It's a higher purpose. Do you understand? Yes. Okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to have a higher purpose for your clients. You want to have a higher vision for them that they think for themselves. When you come to the business bootcamp, second day of a business bootcamp, you don't know me from Adam, and I'm telling you that I'm expecting you to become financially free and at the end a conscious millionaire. Most of you never heard about financial freedom, or what you heard is wrong, and conscious millionaire you never heard about it because I invented that. Okay? But most of you now have that on your goal list this way or another. Is that correct? How many of you are right now saying, I would like to become one day financially free? Fantastic. Most of you never had that goal before the business bootcamp. Would you agree? Yes. So I showed you a vision of yourself that I believe that you can have more than is possible for you. I'm mixing stuff just to show you that it works in any area. When Vered was working with the school in Uganda, we were supporting a school in Uganda many years ago through the Triodos Bank, and at one point Vered and Femke and other board members from us went there and taught the kids and the teachers of the teachers. And I think some of you heard the story, but they were teaching them how to set goals. And those girls never heard about it. I mean, they're girls in rural Uganda. Okay, what do they know about anything, And they were teaching them for a few days, just a few days about goals. And then they set those 200 girls, or, the whole school, 200 girls, and they set them, and they let them one by one stand in front of the whole group and tell them, what is your biggest goal? And this girl of 11 or 12 years old stood there in front of everybody and says, just like that, one day, I'm going to be the president of Uganda. She never had that probably a day or 2 days before. But by setting for them high standard, Vert could create for them this dream. And I'm pretty sure that one day we will hear that Uganda has a female president, and I'm pretty sure that will be that girl. Okay, some of you saw the picture of her. We put it sometimes it's in the video of the foundation, etc. So we might be able to track that back. So you need to have a higher vision for your clients, for your prospects, for the market of what they can achieve. And I mentioned that in other trainings. Don't just help them to lose weight. Tell them what it can be at the end. I'm now put a goal for myself, which I hope it will inspire a few of you. But at one point, I'm going to change my target audience to those people. I put for myself a goal last year in January or February that I'm going to live to the age of 132. And people are still today, even if they heard it, they still smile, and behind the smile they say, yeah, he's a little crazy. But it's not a dream. It's not an idea. It's a goal. I just spent 1 month getting enemas, if you excuse me for that, and cleaning up my body from inside, outside, getting special massages, spiritual, physical, emotional, all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to do that now every single year. We are going to do it every single year for a month. And it works. I don't know if it will help me to get to 132, but it's going to prolong it. I mean, I can hit by a bus tonight, right? But I will do whatever I can to get there because Verd asked me, because Verd this is too far for her. She asked me, why? Why do you want to live for 132? And I told her, because I still have what to give. And I still have things I want to experience. So we wrote for ourselves. We set for a month, couldn't do anything, basically meditating for a whole month. There's no internet, there's no telephone, there's no nothing. So, no television, of course, or anything. So we're sitting and creating our life for me, it's 84 years. And we just created the bucket list, and I know where I'm going to live every single year for a month, because we decided that every year we want to live 1 month in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. So this year we're going to skip it, because this year has been very, very hectic. But next year we're already in the summer in Havana. I want to learn some salsa and drumming, which I can't do either. No way. I'm going to do that. The year after that, Buenos Aires, Verd wants to learn tango, so I'm going to learn how to do tango. A month every year in another country. We have right now the countries for the next 84 years. Okay? We know the hikes that we want to do in the next years. It's already planned. We know it's not, many of you have goals for the year, for the life. Maybe you call it bucket list or whatever it is. We always had it. Since a few weeks, we have it planned with a date and a year. It will change probably, but we have that. And we know what we're going to do. We know what we're going to do in our 25th anniversary, which is happening 2 years from now, in 50th anniversary, in 75th anniversary. And I'm not going to say to everybody. Verd is already jumping up and down telling the team, it's a secret. It's a funny thing. We were making our list separately, and I made mine on my iPad. And I made the goal that was for the 50-year anniversary. And when I gave her my list, I wanted to delete that because I didn't want to commit to that yet, to what I committed there. And of course, from all it's pages and pages. She just did this, and I said, "Wait a minute, give me back the iPad. There's one thing I need to change." She saw just that one. Cannot remove that anyway. What I'm trying to say is we're going to take some years, probably 3 or 4 years, to start seeing if this work, what we're going to do now, the way that we change our lifestyle is going to actually make a difference for ourselves. I cannot know if I will live for 132, but I want to see if it makes a difference. And if yes, that will be our next target audience. It's the biggest target audience we have right now, is people that have money, and they're in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and the only goal they want is to get more years of healthy life. And we're seeing our families, we're seeing her mother with dementia, we're seeing her father after a stroke, my father with cancer. We don't want to live this way, and we think that it's not necessary. So the way that we taught you about business and telling you there is another way, we're going to teach in 3 or 4 years, we're going to teach people that there is another way to live their life when they're getting older. And I'm looking forward for being older, so I can prove that everything that I'm doing is actually, or what works and what doesn't. And we will share with people, exactly like we're sharing with you what works and doesn't work in business, we'll share with them what works and doesn't work to live a healthy life for a long time. We will have a higher vision for people. 132 is a higher vision, would you agree? Most of you don't think that's possible, but the first time I shared it was last year in the Conscious Millionaire, I think. I think that was the first time. And since then, I get more and more people that are saying, hey, I don't know if I want to put 132. I don't know if I believe I can, but 110, 115. Never thought about it before. Do you understand what I mean by leadership? Guys? Yes. You're with me? Yes. Okay. Last thing I want to say about having a higher purpose when you want to take a leadership, you need to understand something about people. I'm drawing something sometimes in the business bootcamp, the normality line. right? People are coming to you when they're under the normality line, and they want you to fix them. And what you're doing, if this is the normality line, people come here when they suffer, right? The business, the relationship with the kids, doesn't matter. Health, whatever it is, they're under the normality line, and they want to come back here where it's normal. Okay, the business is doing well, the relationship is doing well, their weight is the right way and everything. And what you're doing is taking them there, and then you say goodbye, and that's ripping them off. And you heard that from me. Okay, so I'm showing you stuff we're actually doing. I tell you, there is a place here which you know that they can and should go there, but you just give them what they want. But they don't know about it. You didn't know about financial freedom, you didn't know about Conscious Millionaire until I told you. But now that I told you, you have goals. And I can take you there, and if you choose to go with us, that's great. And if you choose to learn it somewhere else or figure it out yourself, that's totally fine. I didn't have teachers for that. I need to figure it out. So you can do it by yourself, but at least I give you this vision of yourself. And you don't do that many times. What you need to understand is that people, as much as in Holland we're trying to convince ourselves that it's true, people, there is no one person in the world that wants to be average. There is not one person in the world that wants to be average. Talk to kids in the bushes. We do. We met hundreds of kids in Laos, and it was hard to talk to them because they don't speak any English. Many of them are not even speaking Lao. They're so far away. But when you talk to them, when you can communicate, and you ask them what they want to do, they don't want to be a farmer. They don't want to be a Kamlari girl. They want to be a pilot. They want to be the best football player. They want to be a doctor. They never saw something like that close to them, but they heard about the idea and they go for it. I don't know if you heard the story of Oprah Winfrey. That's why I'm so touched with Oprah as an enlightened billionaire. You know, she's not a millionaire, she's an enlightened billionaire. It's because Oprah grew with nothing, but she had books because her grandmother was a churchgoer's grandmother, taught her how to read from the age of 3. And she devoured books. And in the books, she saw stuff that she never saw in her neighborhood in the Mississippi or wherever she was. She just said, I want to be this, and I want to be that. And if it's written in the book, I can be that. She still till today say that those books are the ones that brought her where she is. You need to have that vision for people. Nobody wants to be average. Just understand that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know that it's a lot of words, but try, when you go home, when you think about it, maybe in the next few weeks, try to find out what can you do in order to build up this leadership position. Okay, what can you do to become the leader in your market? No one, I promise you, no one in your market thinks this way. I'm not saying that I gave you a few ways. It might not be the answer for you. Maybe there are other answers. But there's nobody in your market that actually asks those questions. And that's your advantage.